would say, on and off for the last 20 years. I've managed artists, like, especially R&B artists like Jermaine Riley of Fundamental, Cherry V,
I love them, by the
who
way.
you guys know, as Dora Martin, and also consulted a whole bunch of different artists, mainly in the kind of music R&B world, and as a byproduct of that, then kind of started verging into kind of what is now grime and the grime industry, etc. So working with the likes of GRM Daily on Rated Awards, and also working with brands like Thomas Cook or even Absolute Vodka that wanted to work with the culture to engage millennials like yourself in different ways. So yeah, that's me.
Nice. Ade, what about yourself? Oh, we can give a clap if you like. Why not?
Thank you, Ade.
Accolades, man. You deserve some accolades.
Thank you.
Mad. Yeah, so my name's Ade. I'm one of the founders of Link Up TV, which is like an online media platform basically promoting emerging MCs, rappers, just artists in general, talent, shall I just say in general. So yeah, that's really what I do. Me, myself, personally, besides, well, mostly into like media-orientated filming, camera stuff, but other little business entrepreneurships on the side as well. But mainly filming, television, camera. You know, that's what I do personally.
That's what you do. You get a clap too. And then we've got Nina over here, which I think is great because you're almost representing the other side of the spectrum, a young person here who's actually helped produce today's event, etc. Why don't you tell us a bit about you, honey?
Okay. So my name is Nina Hudson, and I'm a singer-songwriter, and I'm 19 years old. A lot of the stuff I do is based in the Hackney Empire, but I'm also doing stuff outside of Hackney Empire with my brother. We're currently working on an EP, which we're going to release this year, and I released my last single last year called Woman.
Hey. Okay, I think we should just jump straight in. When I saw the title of this is RnB Dead, the first thought that came to my head is, for you guys, how would you describe R&B to you? Because I think it's changed a lot, and I think people have different opinions on exactly what counts as R&B. So, Farron, how would you describe R&B to you?
Well, I think it's morphed over the years. So probably a lot of you in the room probably might know the likes of kind of Boys to Men. And then if you fast forward to
The Grab.
if you fast forward to now, you have artists like Tory Lanez, and you have artists like, I'll get onto Drake in a minute because that's something we've got in common. But you've got those type of artists, and you can see just by the vernacular and also the kind of narrative of the stories that they tell through their music that it's actually evolved. Where once R&B was very vulnerable, men being on bended knees saying how much they love their women, to now Tory Lanez saying what he's going to do to a woman and what he would like a woman to do to him. So I think definitely the culture and the landscape's changed, but that's only bred because, you know, I think the appetite for new music and a new kind of direction has changed and tastes have changed.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that, Ade? What do you think?
I fully agree. Like, I still miss the old school R&B days, you know what I mean? Like the old school Ushers and that.
Yeah.
Like, I want it to come back. I'm waiting on it to come back, hopefully.
Yeah.
We can have that kind of moment back, man.
I find R&B these days quite hard to identify, if I'm honest. Like, yeah, I totally relate to the whole Boys to Men, like you said, down on bended knee, literally, that whole vibe for R&B. And like nowadays, I kind of struggle since there is quite a blur, and with the popularism of like urban music, which has to be my other question, but I'll come to that in a second. But Nina, what do you think R&B is to you?
I think that kind of music still does exist. It's just definitely lost in all of the new, like, the new type of R&B.
Yeah.
So like you have artists like her, which I feel is very old R&B, but she doesn't get as much recognition because there is a new type of R&B.
Definitely.
So it's still there, I think.
It's still there. I think it's still there too.
Yes.
And I mean, I just said it there. How do you guys feel about that term urban music? Because it rubs me up the wrong way a little bit, but at the same time, I haven't really got an alternative. What do you think about that?
I think it depends on your stance. I mean, if you look at the likes of her, Daniel Caesar, Bryson Tiller, you've got to imagine that the days where artists and R&B artists used to be doing kind of choreographed dancing and things like that, it's now turned into rap, I think, and probably leading on to the likes of Drake. Drake has enabled, kind of maybe confuse the industry somewhat as to what R&B is, because you've got a rapper who sings, but he's not really singing, he's actually just being vulnerable and speaking a language that appeals to females.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing, but I think the lines can't be blurred between real singing and kind of harmonies and melodies. That's completely different. But again, it's homogenized, so you can't really say there's one genre over another. I think it's just one big melting pot, and the fact is now you've got so much choice of what you can pick and choose to listen to, because it's all about your personal taste as opposed to what the industry is telling you is that. So you might say Sam Smith is an R&B, but then is Sam Smith not R&B? Is Adele not R&B? Because they're being vulnerable and they're being open and they've got great voices. Is Usher R&B now? Is Jacquees R&B? Is, you know...
And are you happy to put that all under the umbrella of urban music?
I'm happy to put anything, because I think it's just about... let's drop urban and just put good.
Yeah.
It's just about good music. If it connects, it connects.
What do you think over there, Ade?
Absolutely. Like, I was just taking it in what you're saying. Like, I definitely agree. I mean, like, what's that song? Oh, I forgot her name. And it goes like "Booed Up" or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying. So I still feel like there's still elements of R&B, because that's like full R&B. Like, there's no doubt about that one there. Like girls are singing, like guys are singing. You know what I mean? On the phone to girls and that. It's long, but so I still feel like there's elements of it. So regardless of if Drake and all, like Tory Lanez, everyone else have kind of dribbled into the game and done a bit of singing, rapping to confuse it, but there's still the core R&B. There's still artists who just do R&B.
Yeah. Like I said, I think we've already established that R&B is not dead. I think that's a great thing to do in the first 5 minutes of our talk. But I think what's really interesting is that it'd be great to find out how you guys got into music, how it chose you, because I always feel like learning people's journeys can be quite inspirational for young people coming up. So if you could give us a little overview and
But, you know, before I get into that, I just want to kind of just identify something. So just to give a bit of praise to the man and the team to my left. If Sakib was here, I'd do exactly the same thing. I think, you know, back in the day, we had the likes of, say, Soul Culture, who was predominantly, Eddie and those guys who were doing a great job in terms of, supporting kind of urban music. And then you had the likes of, say, that Grape Juice, Sam and those guys, you know, doing a great job of supporting R&B. But then what's happening is, because of the market's changing, these guys need to make money to be able to provide a platform to support your art. You know, you might think they're just YouTube channels, but these guys have teams, infrastructure, people that they need to support to be able to give you a platform, to give you that reach, to reach new audiences. So I just wanted to kind of congratulate the guy, you know, and I think he deserves a round of applause, please, because it's, you know, in this day and age, and I've seen the kind of change of kind of, not necessarily change, but you guys are embracing R&B a lot more now.
Yeah,
you know,
have to.
Yeah, because obviously you've got Afro swing and you've got et cetera, et cetera. So those kind of things help kind of build people back into melody. But initially they were focused on grime because that's where it's at. You know, so just kind of wanted to give a kind of big shout out to the guys, because I love what they're doing, and I just want to recognise that. In terms of myself, you know, as I said, I'm 41 in October. I've been doing this. Yeah, I know. It's the Pharrell syndrome.
Got it.
You know, I've got a great woman, so I'm glad for that. She keeps me young. But I just feel, you know, I started out kind of working in dance music, actually, working on record labels and working. You probably wouldn't know any of these names, but like Eric Murillo, Roger Sanchez, that do house music, and then from a very young age, being like in my bedroom, and you guys probably remember this, but like TDK tapes, and there used to be pirate radio stations on air, and I had to pause in between the DJs chatting rubbish to kind of get a full song. So, and, you know, but just being brought up in the church and like being surrounded by music, and my mum loving Motown, and there's a program called Soul Train, which you go home and say to your mum, do you remember Soul Train? They'll probably nod and say, how did you hear about that? Just say, Farron told you. But I think, you know, the love of music stems from a core. Like it's almost like you don't choose music, music chooses you. Like, you just can't explain it. Like, every time you try and veer away from it, it has a way of pulling you back. That magnet keeps pulling you back. That opportunity, that song, that melody, that writing thing that pulls you back. So that just drove me to kind of, you know, managing labels, managing artists, setting up my own music publishing business, trying to do syncs and stuff like that. And to now working at one of the, you know, the UK's foremost kind of platforms that have been supporting, you know, urban music for 15 years. So, you know, it's great. So I recommend anybody should try the same thing.
We're here to inspire. I'm sure they're already inspired. And then, Ade, the journey that brought you to the point where you founded Link Up TV. Like, tell me about it.
I mean, it's crazy because it was a similar setup to this. So, like, shout out everyone that actually came out to this, because it might seem like, oh, yeah, whatever, it's just another event, or it might just, but literally an event like this, a networking event like this could actually change your life, because that's how I met my partner Rashid, and then we later on got to start Link Up TV together, you know what I mean? And it was called YCTV. It was basically, I was about 15 at the time, and it was like a media, like there was training how to use cameras, but at the time I didn't really have even an interest in filming or production. I just thought, let me just go. You know what I mean? And literally from the back of that, I thought, yo, like, I'm kind of good at this. Like, this is all right. And then I started editing. I thought, yo, like, I'm hard. Like, you get me? Like, yo, so from that, things just started to grow. And then at that time, Grime Daily and SBTV were kind of doing bits. Like, I remember SBTV was doing great bits at the time. So we thought, yo, we can do this as well. Like, let's have a little go. Started shooting videos for like people in the area. Started hitting up artists that we knew about. Like, everyone started hitting up so much artists, and just one artist introduced us to another artist, introduced us to his friend, and his cousin does music, and then his cousin happens to be Gets or something. You know what I mean? And then through the back of that, it just started to grow, and now we're on like 1 million subscribers and stuff like that. So it's just trying to now think, what's the next step, and like, where do we go from here? But that's really how it started. As I said, it just started from just coming to a little seminar like this. So, like, trust me, you lot coming out here.
You guys get a clap too.
Word.
No. And what did your parents think about you getting into the music industry? Yeah, I want to know.
I mean, I'm Nigerian, so like, the stigma was there. Like, they did really. My mum really wanted me to be a doctor. Like, really. Or like at least a pilot, something that she can go back home and be like, yes.
Pilot. I like how you went to
you get me? My son is a surgeon, you know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff. So when I'm telling her that, I'm doing music, it's like, go to uni, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, go and read your books, like my mum would say. So there was that hardship, like, within the first couple of months, or years, shall I say, but with all African parents, or with most parents anyways, once you can give back to them, that's really, like, especially, I can only talk for my mum, but once I started to say, Mum, listen, this is not drug money, this is not this, there you go, there's £500, there's £100, there's £50, like, then, my son, you know what I mean? That's when it all changes, like, you can literally start doing anything you want, so it's very important to give back, like, once I started giving back to my mum and started showing her that, yo, like, this is actually making money, like, you know what I mean? And I remember one time in Westfield, like, was just in Westfield shopping, this was many years ago, and, like, some kids actually came up to me, like, wow, what, is your name Ade? Like, oh, yeah, like, I wanted to get a video, and I remember I was with my mum, and I saw the way my mum looked at me, and I think since that day, she's not even troubled me. She's not even troubled me no more. So they just want to see that you're actually working. So it's, man, just show them, show them that, yo, like, this is what I'm doing, and this is what's gonna, you know what I mean? And they're gonna even support you from there, you know what I mean?
Definitely. Did your parents have the same kind of thoughts?
I was fortunate because I'd done my degree. So I did my degree.
You're right then.
I was kind of, doing my degree. But when I first started out, they were a little bit dubious because it was like, again, it's a passion. And I think Ade would attest to this, like, the mere fact was that the music connected with him, and the art of creating visual connected with you. So that was what was driving him. He wasn't thinking about the money until the money started coming in. It was just about the art form. And it was the same for me. I wasn't thinking about money. I just loved being around creatives. I just loved the whole process of, guys sitting down saying, okay, cool, so we're going to create something. And then all of a sudden you get this music and your hair standing on end and it's like, oh my God. Or you get those bars and the gun fingers start coming out and it's like, yo. Well, do you know what I mean? But it's that energy, and your parents will never, ever get that. Which is why, to Adi's point, it's when you give back that they can see, or even just being in places like this and being asked to sit on panels like this to actually impart knowledge. Yeah. It's like, okay, so I just come back from Birmingham, so it's like you're actually leaving me to go and speak at a conference, and I'm like, yeah, like
places to
so
be.
she's like, oh my God, so they kind of start to visualize what it is that you do, because unless you're in it, you just don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
You kind of see on the outside. So like when Ade posted the the microphone for Drake. Did you guys see the Drake video? What did you think? You like it? Do you like the drill or do you like straight Drake?
It was a bit.
Go,
I'll be honest. I was a bit shocked. It wasn't what I expected at all. Just because when I think drill, I don't think big Drake. I think of like someone my age.
Yeah, word.
So I was just like,
it didn't really click. Even for me as well, it didn't really click, I'll be real. Like, only till recently did I actually start to like it. I'll be real.
My brother plays
it's actually
it all
hard
the
though.
time.
Every time I listen to it, I feel like, yo, this is hard.
It
but
is.
Now, I hear what you're saying. It didn't really like connect at first, but give it another listen, man. You'll be all right. Trust me.
My brother's playing it anyways.
Is this a question? Please tell us. What's your...
True. I forgot his name still. That's terrible of me still.
You remember it halfway through the show, it will come to you.
Come to me. But in regards to how it actually happened, just like a random, I remember it was like a random Thursday, like Giggs phoned Rashid, like, hey, yo, Drake wants your number. And Rashid's like, yeah, cool, man, whatever, Giggs. Because, Giggs, sometimes he's a bit of a, what I'm saying? He likes to just play pranks and stuff. She's like, yeah, man, cool, man. Whatever, man, shout me, like, cool. And then some numbers FaceTiming him, and it's like the Canada, like, plus whatever it is, like, plus 2, 3, whatever, I don't know. And he's thinking, yo, whatever. He's picked up, and it's actually Drake.
Oh, Lord.
FaceTime and Rashid, and it's like, yo, like, you can't help but be starstruck, like, regardless.
On my phone as well?
He's FaceTiming you, like, direct live. So Drake's like, yeah, man, I like what you lot doing. Like, I wanna drop some behind bars. Like, yo, like. So, anyways, it was like, yeah, cool, let's make it happen. And then, literally, within like 2-3 days, we flew over some cameramen. So it wasn't actually shot here. It was actually shot in Canada. So we flew over some cameramen over to Canada, got it wrapped up. And it's mad because that was actually filmed it was filmed now about 2 months ago. It was filmed before the whole Pusha T thing.
Yeah. I heard about it 2 months ago.
Okay, yeah. So
I knew, but I was gassed. I was just like, yo, like, for Drake to even... And that's what you got to remember, yeah. I think it's never been a better time to be in a UK music artist. Because the light literally is on us. So everyone can say what they want about Drake, but Drake has literally been that guy that has actually put the UK on a kind of a global map. Even though we had our own platform here, but in terms of the US wasn't really checking for us. But now they're kind of like
they do 100%. So literally off the back of that, like it got recorded, it got edited, and then we was just waiting for time, anticipating, like waiting for them to give us the green light to push it out. And then there was even maybe 10 days when they didn't even reply. So we think, fuck it, it's gone now. We can't even use this or whatever. Should we just leak it? We're thinking, wild thoughts, just what's going on. But yeah, everything eventually got ironed out. And then he's like, yeah, drop it. Like he didn't even tell us to drop it. He literally posted it himself.
Oh shit.
On the gram.
So you didn't even know that he...
Yeah, literally we didn't hear from them for 10 days, but that's because his album was also dropping.
Yeah.
Them lot had mad busy schedules, so he posted it himself, And then we started posting it. Then he just literally DM'd us saying, yo, like, yeah, drop that when you're not ready.
Wow.
And then it was actually on the same day that England played. So we thought, yeah, bam. And then he started promoting England. I don't know, it just happened. You know, things just happened. It just made sense. So yeah, that's how that kind of happened, man. So I feel like that was just a God's blessing on our part, really, because he could have gone, like, he still ended up doing the one extra anyways, but
Yeah.
I feel like him doing it with us first, like, definitely like gave us a bit of boost.
Completely,
You know what I mean? He could have done it with GRM, could have done it with anyone, but I don't know, man. I just feel like it was kind of God's blessing on our side.
And that for me kind of shows a test to what you guys have managed to build up, in the sense of he knows who's actually grassroots connected to this thing. Do you know what I mean?
Mad,
Like, in a different kind of way.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you look at what GRM does, and it's saying that Taquib isn't here, but if you look at what GRM do, if you look at what SBTV, and you look at Link Up do, even though they're all in the same sort of space and all playing around with the same sort of content, they're very much three different businesses and brands in their own right. So I think, it's just a way of putting us on a map. And in terms of the way it came back for us, I think it was just Charlie. I think Charlie waited around till like 2 o'clock in the morning. I think Drake literally came out of a club.
Mad.
And then just went in and just did his thing, and then that was it. So, for us, it's almost like, great, like, Drake has chosen Fire in the Booth as being a platform. Because it is a platform. Same as Extreme Bras,
exactly,
GRM had their Daily
Duppies,
yeah,
do
you know what I mean? So that whole platform of giving, that freestyle element, that's the only way you're going to get kudos in this country. Like, you can't just come in here and try and body You have to show that you've got the skills, and he came over and he did that.
I feel like all of this is like, it's so inspiring to hear how these little seeds kind of grow into these big old oak trees, and I'm sure there's like a lot more growth to do. I'm going to go over to Nina for a second to kind of work out, from your perspective as a young person, what is your inspiration to be in the fashion industry, in the music industry, and what is it? Is it places like Grime Daily and Link Up TV that you're seeing that's inspiring you?
So I'd definitely say, from a young age, my inspiration 100% is my brother, because he's just a musical genius, and he's full of ideas that we just bounce off of each other really easily. I do love platforms such as like GRM Daily, Link Up TV, but they're more focused, I would say, on rap. So it's not necessarily something that I feel like I would benefit off of, but it's still great to see people coming up off of there and making something of themselves. So yeah, it is inspirational, definitely.
Yeah. And
I was going to say, I think that's changing.
Yeah, no, I was actually going to say that. Don't worry about it. We got you. But you know what, on that note as well, yeah, like, from your perspective, as, what kind of genre would you say
I would say it's like R&B soul.
So, I mean, I would actually love to hear some of your music. Like,
it's bagging.
Word, I could tell. So, I mean, as a young artist yourself, pushing your music out there, because as a rapper, really, you're going to look for platforms like GRM, Link Up TV to get your stuff out there.
Yeah.
And once you post it out, if it's the right sound, like, literally you start blowing up. As an R&B artist like yourself, do you feel like there's lack of support, lack of platforms that could potentially help you?
Good question.
I would say yes, but at the same time, I would still try to send my stuff to you guys, because why not? Yeah, if I think it's good music and I think it has potential and you agree, then I don't see why it shouldn't be posted. So I would still send it to you.
So we're still always looking for different platforms to kind of, for young people to kind of release their, and kind of be themselves as well. I think sometimes people do get a little bit bogged down in what genre am I, and which I think you do need to know to some degree. But sometimes it's just music, and it's good music.
It's just music. I mean, we've got a dedicated R&B show with Ace on a Thursday. Obviously, our policy is to support 50% new music from the UK anyway. We have BBC Introducing. There's a whole bunch of platforms. But interestingly, I have seen the shift, and to the defense of Link Up and GRM and also SBTV, is that there's now a wave called Afro Swing. Which is now coming. I think it's gaining some ground. But that's kind of a return to melody, and then what you'll see is a lot of artists doing that. So even on the last Krypton Conan album, they were singing to a certain degree. So the whole thing's returning to melody. So what these platforms will do, they're there to provide a service to their community. So if they can see that their community wants that music, then they'll just kind of create, okay, cool, we'll just create a separate page or something that will just be specific to that genre. So yes, we can still service you and give you your grime, but as well, if you want some alternative, here's some artists that we think are cool that we want to get behind as well. Do you know what I mean? So I think everything is secular.
Yeah, literally.
You know, so definitely, I think that there'll be more platforms, and I think that's why that's why we're having this conversation, is because no one's really seen R&B out there, and the reason is because there's no one real platforms out there that was supporting it fully, like dedicated.
Yeah, I also think these days when I see R&B, it's with rap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we feel about that? Is that a positive thing, or is that better than not hearing any R&B? What's your thoughts, Nina?
I definitely agree. I see it being recycled. Like you hear songs nowadays and like the chorus is like taken from an old song or something. I do really like it. It's enjoyable music. I do wish that we still had, well, we do, but I still wish that old R&B was more popular. But this is just where we're going right now, and we'll return there because that's how it always goes. It goes round. So
yeah, loads of circles. I mean, again, going back to the R&B versus rap, do you think that in order for R&B to be relevant, it needs to be accompanied by rap? Like,
no, I mean, you've got, you know, I think there's a guy in the States at the moment called Tunji. I don't know if you know Tunji. So, yes, well done.
He knows.
Star for you. You're watching the game. Say again? Is it really? Are you talking about the same Tunji that's behind Daniel Caesar? Yeah. So he set up his own label in the States, but he's the gentleman that's behind the likes of Bryson Tiller, SZA, Daniel Caesar, her. So you can see there's a new wave of R&B talent that's rising, and in the UK, you know, we've got. There's so much. It's just that it's not showcased, or it's not showcased. So I think definitely one way could be, you know, features for guys to break through. You know, jumping on tracks and doing hooks and stuff like that. I think that's always been the case, though. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's one thing I've always said is that, you know, grime is always going to be the thing that you bang in the car, but then when you're chilling with your other half, then again, certain man would want to jam grime on, you know. But you know, when you're chilling, you're gonna want the melodies, you know. So definitely.
Yeah. And what are you thinking, Ade, about, like, because I feel like I'm quite intrigued, just because I wouldn't say that this arena is something that I'm very familiar with. So when I'm asking these questions, I'm coming from somebody who I like what I like, and I don't like to try and put it in a box in any kind of way. But like, again, talking about the R&B with the rap music, I feel like when I was growing up, it used to be like R&B songs with a rap verse, and now it just feels like it's kind of flipped around where it's rappers and then the choruses are R&B. And I personally don't know how I feel about that. I kind of liked them as separate entities.
Yeah, no, defo.
Like, yeah, kinda.
I mean, you know,
it depends what song, man, because
it does depend on the song,
like,
of course.
for example, like the Jaro and the Shanti, which is like one.
I was about to say.
That's like one of my all-time. I was even listening to it today. Like that has to get played every week. Like, so it's just like songs like that. You can't really take. You get me? You can't really take both of them out. If you take Jaro out, you can't. You know what I mean? You need both.
Do
of them
you
to
think
make
the
it
future is collaborations then between genres?
I mean, if I'm honest, I'd love to see more of that. Yeah. If I'm honest, I'd love to see more grime artists collaborate with true singers.
With true singers, that's what I was gonna say. Not just like singers, like proper.
Exactly,
true.
like and taking it. You know, I think, you know, Lethal Bizzle has done some stuff with like Cherry V in the past. You know, Jermaine was on Chip's first album. You know, so I think there's definitely the opportunity to do more. But again, I think it's all about timing and, you know, getting the right track. You know, Wretch is great at bringing in some singers on his stuff. Yeah. Like, if you hear a lot of Wretch's projects, there's a lot of, like, Jordan. Shaka, like, you know, another big fan of Shaka. You know, there's Ricardo, who's on tour at the moment with Faith Evans. So there's artists out there that I would say they'd love to collaborate
Yeah.
with grime artists, but it has to be the right songs.
It's the right songs. I think that's the hard part of it as well. And then for you, Nina, like, how do you see? I mean, I'm going to talk for you personally. How do you see your music developing in the next few years? What are you going to try? Are you going to push some boundaries?
Definitely.
I like that.
I would love to just explore. I have such a love for music that literally I'll listen to anything. If it sounds good to me, I'll listen to it, and I want to create something like that. I don't know if you guys know of a group called Hiatus Coyote.
No,
They're so odd, but I absolutely love their music, and if I could collaborate with them, even though it's like nothing near what I make, I would just be so happy, because it just makes me feel something.
It's a language that kind of speaks to you, like, and takes you on a journey, right?
So, yeah.
I wondered if anybody in the audience has any questions for our lovely panel here. Boom.
What do you guys think of rap nowadays? Like, do you think it's going in a better direction or a worse direction? Like, do you know what I mean?
What do you say, rap, you said?
Yeah, like rap. Is rap
Well, I mean, it's noted that everyone, UK rap anyways, like right now, this is in my generation anyways, this is the best it's ever been. You know what I mean? So, well, from what I know, I don't know, it could have been better.
I'm gonna echo Ade on that. I think especially I think the scene is solid. Like if you look at bars for bars, and I can go for it. If I look at Wretch, if I look at Kano, if I look at Gets, if I look at any of those guys, even Gigs, that's true rap. If you're talking about mumble rap, I'm from my era of rap is your Tribe Called Quest, your Busta Rhymes, your Talib Kweli's, that type of era where people painted pictures with words. If I can't understand what you're saying, then bro, just drop me out.
Yeah.
Straight.
There's more context.
More context, bro. Yeah, you kind of, again, it's that feeling that you get. And don't get me wrong, I know that mumble rap is cool. You know, for instance, I like French Montana. I like some of French Montana, but was it Tekashi 9 and all of that? I don't know.
It's not speaking to you.
It's not speaking. I feel old like when I hear that. You know? So there's a guy at the back.
And what's your question?
Bro, it's music at the end of the day. It's mad because we actually had like a big YouTube. There was like a real big YouTube meeting where like they brought all the channels together, like with some big YouTube, like some big YouTube bosses. Basically, as it stands right now, yeah, like it's now part of their community guidelines, meaning drill music, like if you basically are saying like violent things on tracks, you can now get a strike. Whereas before, they just used to take the videos down. Now it means you can get a strike. And with YouTube, it's 3 strikes and you're out. So, whereas before, it's like, there's been like maybe about 10 or 15 videos that were on Link Up TV that's been taken down. For example, like CB, Take That Risk. Like just couple random videos that I don't know if you lot, like AM, I don't know if you lot saw AM Attempted. Like just couple random videos that were like actually big tracks, like 10, 11 and stuff, that were like decent tracks, but because it was instigating violence, it got taken down. But now, it's now a community guideline, meaning that if you breach it, you can get a strike. And with YouTube, it's 3 strikes and out, which is now, it's almost, and this only happened like literally last week. So it's now made everyone think, yo, like, where's drill music actually going now? Because don't forget, there's still a big catalogue of drill music out there. So are we supposed to delete them videos? Because they can potentially still get strikes. You know what I mean? Now, bringing new music in, how do we kind of like review them? You know what I mean? It's just, it's too technical like right now. So to answer your question anyways, not to like go too off topic, I'll be real, me personally, and that's me coming from witnessing certain things, I really do think like the music plays a part. I'm not gonna lie to you. I really do think that's why I'm in support of not pushing so much drill music, because I've seen it front hand, like where someone's been drawn out in the sense of he's called someone else's name out, and now something's happened to him just because he said that name. So when you look at it like that, it's slightly because of the music. You know what I mean? So I do feel like, it's getting a bit too much. It's getting a bit out of hand. It's not majority, but then that small niche, that small percentage of people can mean one person to that. If it's gonna save one person's life, I feel like it's enough. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That's how I look
And to be honest with you, I don't think you can hold platforms like Link Up or GRM or SB TV or even, One Extra for that matter, as responsible for individuals
Behaviour.
seeking to cause harm to other individuals and using music as a gateway of expressing that. For me, that can even be in the mix, because ultimately we are platforms supporting an art form. If they weren't propagating drugs, violence, and no, let me remove those. Let me remove the drugs. Let me remove keep to the violence.
Okay, keep the violence. Keep the violence.
Keep to the violence, because there's been drugs and all kinds of stuff in rap anyway. Let's not kind of beat around the bush. But if it's where it's kind of actually pointing at certain people and there's innuendos in the conversations that they're having through these records, and they're directed at someone to instigate something else, then that's like rap beef.
Yeah.
And we know what happened with rap beef when it was Biggie and Tupac, or it was Nas and Jay-Z, or whoever. You can pick up some of the biggest battles. There's always someone that's going to get drawn out and get caught in the crossfire. So I applaud again Link Up for taking a stance on that, because knife crime is an issue.
It is.
And it's only going to go away if we stifle it at its root. And if if one of the roots is the music, then let's cut it.
Yeah. What's your question?
On whatsoever?
Yeah. The heat that's been put on drill music.
I mean, like, if we look at the history of drill, it actually started from Chicago. Like, that's where Chirac and that, like, whatever these lot are called, what's his name? Chief Keef and that's who really started the drill music. Like, and then obviously we've taken it on over here. But you already know, UK, we like to just, we like to blow things out of the water. But to be fair, like I always say to people, like, we are actually in the industry of, like, changing lives. The reason why I say that, for example, we can work with, like, I don't know, some random guy from Hackney to say, put him on a little freestyle, or he does a little music video. Now the music video's got 250,000, 500,000 views. Now, from someone who was potentially, like, trying to maybe sell weed or something on the streets or in beef, now he's getting maybe £500 a show. Do you understand? So now his life's actually changing. He's thinking, I don't need to do this. I can actually get £500 a show. £500 turns into a grand. A grand, now he's like Heady One getting like $4,000. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, it's actually changing lives, but it's not everyone. You know what I'm saying? It's not everyone that we work with that is fortunate enough to blow. But as I said, it's only a small percentage. So you just also have to look at both sides. It's easy to always blow the negatives and blow it out of proportion, like but actually there's a lot of positives coming out drill music. You know what I mean? A lot of lives are changing from this bad drill music that they're talking about. You know what I mean? So it's mad.
Maybe if they got some R&B on it,
They need to team up with some R&B
give us
singers.
some R&B singers and spice up a little bit,
And what's your question over here?
So basically, like, as a musician, like people who work in this industry, do you guys focus on like the underground scene of like drill, grime, R&B, or do you just look at like submissions that have been given to you?
From my perspective, we listen to everything. I mean, everything that gets sent to... I mean, people send me music every day, and I'm not even on the music team. But I'll just forward it on. So I think it's just important to know that there is a channel for you to get your music heard on One Extra. And I mean, if you build with, like, for instance, if you sent something to Ace the night before, it could be on the show the next day. You know, so it's not for us. We never ever look at it as, you know, oh, the artist has to be a star. You've got to remember that we're 15 years in this, and a lot of the artists that you now see as stars started off on One Extra. You know, your Giggses, your Wretches. You know, even Chip, when Chip did his famous Fire in a Brick. It wasn't a Fire in a Brick. It was with Westwood, wasn't
Westwood,
it?
yeah.
You know, that Chip had just come out. This kid just came out of nowhere. But we've actually been there and embraced the talent from the beginning. So from our side of things, we never ever say, oh, well, you know, you've got to be signed or you've got to have this accolade or la 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 la. It's let's just get the music and then let the music do the talking, man.
I like it like that. Definitely. Any other questions? Yes, Brian.
So like recently there's been, well, it's more focused on like there's more fun music. I know I think about that kind of music, but like you know I'm talking about like people like Lil Pump, basically that kind of fun music that we all, well not all, but like that people listen to. I need to get like your thoughts on it.
Little Pump, who's that? Gucci Gang. Yeah, he's cold, man. I think
He shut it down
I don't know, man. It's music, innit? Like, music change. I don't know. Do you know what it is about music? It's more the energy it creates, right?
Yeah.
If everyone right now, if they're playing, I don't know, gospel music, for instance, and everyone here is dancing, that's good music. Do you understand?
Yeah.
If it's Joe and everyone's dancing, it's good music. Whatever it is, it could be jazz, it could be Little Pump, like, whatever it is. If it's making everyone feel good, then it's doing its purpose, innit?
The only thing I would say is, yeah, the music is good and it brings a lot of energy, but it doesn't last. I personally feel like it doesn't last. Like I don't feel like anyone's going to be listening to that in how many years. And personally, I want to be that person that makes music that you would listen to, like the music you would talk
20
about.
years later,
Yeah,
you still-
exactly.
yeah,
Like Usher 8701.
Yeah. Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, classic. I know that song.
I think I've got time for one more question. Go for it. Oh.
Good question.
He's asking for a business plan.
No, it's mad.
He's asking for a job, bro. He wants to.
Yes.
It's mad.
He's asking for.
Not gonna give too much away, but more short term, because 5 years is quite a long term, anyways. But more short term plans, like right now, anyways, we're kind of like in the process of like a little revamp, reshuffle everything together, just to like give it, people just like brand new things. They just like things being fresh and new. So we're just trying to give them that new feeling, just trying to create like a new logo, revamp everything again, come back with a new app, new website, everything, all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, just carrying on doing what we was doing originally, like where we actually started from, because it's mad, like we actually started from doing a lot of like live shows, and like when I say live shows, like I Love Live at that time was quite big. So like we actually used to film a lot of the I Love Lives, and that used to give us a lot of subscribers. So we're trying to do like live shows and just even do like live sessions. You see how the One Extra you lot do that?
The spotlight with Target. Yeah.
So we're trying to do more stuff like that, because I feel like that was kind of the core of it, even though that doesn't really generate
the views.
Yeah,
I know
as
what you're
such,
saying.
which is like.
But I think it's also for you guys. It's about finding the audience, isn't it?
Exactly.
So and then the audience doesn't necessarily have to come from the UK because you're a global platform. So you might see an influx of US views coming in, which is great.
But yeah, so that's our plan anyway. Short term, we're trying to just go back into that for a minute, just to, just only because we actually prefer it as well. So just to see how it goes, and obviously because of the whole, not drill ban, but you know what I mean? So we're kind of just being very cautious with the kind of music we put out there, you know what I'm saying? And we've had a lot of drill music on our platform, like a lot. So moving forward as well, I'll be real, because like stuff like that don't really go too well with like advertisers and you know what I mean, sponsorship. So we're trying to just kind of like polish it up a bit, just make it look a little bit more tidy, you know what I mean? Like,
Shine it up a little.
yeah, this is dust it up a bit, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's really where we're trying to go with it.
Go on, one last one. Go for it.
Nina, where do you see yourself in 20 years?
20 years?
Wow, you went
Mazza.
there. 20.
Wow.
Mazza.
In the future, like, where do you see yourself?
So
Superstar.
I want to release albums, of course. I've always wanted to like headline at a festival or be like on a main stage somewhere. That's a goal.
I can't wait.
You've got to send it out there, you know?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
got
to
to
make
speak
the
it
sense
into
I tell you what,
existence.
every single person that's on the festival this year had the same vision as you, because they would have seen somebody on stage and been like,
Go in
I
there.
want to be that guy. So
Can't wait.
it's all there for the taking, man.
Yeah,
It's all there
and
for the taking.
collaborating with new artists, producers. Yeah.
And just keep on doing what you love, I think, over and over again, right? Go on.
So I got a question as well.
Oh, what's
it's bugging me, sir.
Go for it.
Obviously, like I know you said that you've also done a bit of managing and stuff like
Yeah.
that, yeah. So just kind of like picking some of your knowledge off, yeah. Obviously, like looking at potential, like people in here might want to be potential managers and stuff as well.
I like that.
Like what advice, yeah, especially like currently, because I've been looking at different like managing modules and stuff like that. You know, like people are even saying that the artist module might not be the way forward. It might be better to manage producers. You know what I mean? Because like, you know how now it's like you can get money on streams. It's easier as an artist to make money.
Yeah.
So what advice would you just basically just give if you're looking to get into managing?
So my thing, I think it's especially when you find an artist that's not like known and the manager's coming with a network, or it might be that your friend wants to manage you. The first thing I'd say is A, get yourself a good lawyer. B, make sure that you're registered with all the collection societies, so MCPS, PRS, PPL. I'd then make sure that when you get to that point, you get a good agent that can manage your tours. But I'd said if it's just you and an artist, I don't see anything wrong with setting up a joint venture with them and it's a 50-50 split. Because you got to understand that being a manager, you're investing so much time and energy into an artist that if that artist doesn't necessarily cut through, then you've lost all that time and you lost all that energy. And I think if you can come to the table where you're thinking, okay, well, I'm bringing this to the table, which is a network, business, marketing, et cetera, and you're coming to me with a product, talent, you know, performance, etc., your writing skills or whatever, producing, let's come together and try and make something. Now, being an artist manager is one thing, but you could also manage songwriters. You could also manage producers. You know, you could actually manage like the whole creative process. You could be the stylist. You could be the I call it the power behind the throne. Right? So everybody's here can potentially be a power behind the throne. And these are people that are behind the scenes that actually make that person who they are. Stormzy would probably never sit here and say, I got here all on my own. He'd probably say, is it Toby, Toby and my gang, Akua, all of these people, even my peers, helped me get to where I got to. So don't always think about being front and center. Like, there's different ways and means of kind of structuring a business relationship with talent.
Does that answer your question, Ade?
No, definitely.
Adi, you know you can come and see me anytime, bro.
No,
You know that already, like, you know, we're good like that.
Nah, mental notes, man. I got you.
Oh, well, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you give our lovely panel guest a round of applause? Yay! And hopefully you'll stick around for the next panel, which is going to be in some point soon.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. See ya. Oh. I feel like we could have sat there forever. And these chairs are quite comfy. Oh, am I supposed to be paying attention?
Oh, what's going on?
I'm smiling. Oh,
Well done.
yay!
Good job.